What is up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make a basic port scanner with Python using the socket module. So the first thing you want to do is get input for the host that the user wants to scan. And the next thing you want to do is get input for the range of ports that the user wants to scan, and it'll be separated by a comma. Now we're going to implement a little bit of user friendliness and say if their input equals localhost, we'll set that value to 127.0.0.1 for the loopback address. So that way the user could just type in localhost for the IP that they want to scan. The next thing we'll do is create a socket object, and we'll use the socket.af_inet option to create a socket for an IPv4 address. After that, we're gonna split the string that the user entered for the port range into two separate values. So let's say they enter 20-25. This will be converted into a list with a string of 20 and then a string of 25. And next we're gonna map every string in that list into an integer so that we could use it in this lower part of our program. So now we have a list of two numbers. The first number is the first port that we want to scan, and then the last number is the last port that we want to scan. So we're going to say for every port in the range of the integer list 0, which is the first position, and the integer list 1 index position, which is the last number that we want, last port that we want to scan, plus 1, so it scans that last number. We're gonna say if there's a connection error to that host and that port, we're gonna print that the port is closed. This line right here will evaluate to true if there's an error. Otherwise, it'll evaluate to false, and if it's false, that means that the port is open because there was no error. Now I'm going to show you how most of the program works by printing out a lot of the info here so you could get a better look at how it's working. As you can see, when you type in localhost, it translates to a string of 127.0.0.1. And this is the printed port range where there's a string of 134 and a string of 135 in a list based on the user input. And then when you map it, it'll be converted into an integer of 134 and 135 in a list. Now let's run the program a couple times and see how it works. So we'll enter in localhost for the loopback address. And since I know that port 135 is open on my machine and on most Windows machines, I'll say to scan a range of port 134 to 135. And since there was a connection error on port 134, it says port 134 closed. And since there was no error on 135, it says port 135 open. And I'll show you that this will also work if we put in an actual IP address. So, and we'll say, let's see, let's do 442 to 445 since I know 445 is open. It correctly shows that 442 to 444 are closed, and it shows port 445 is open.